You know that feeling when someone shows up for you just when you need it most? That's what Uber is all about. Not just a ride or dinner at your door. It's how Uber helps you show up for the moments that matter. Because showing up can turn a tough day around or make a good one even better. Whatever it is, big or small, Uber is on the way. So you can be on yours. Uber, on our way.
The great Steve Forbes, who ran for president twice and really changed the world with both of those campaigns in terms of the flat tax and Social Security reform and all of the things that you talked about that you put on the map. And of course, who are you again? Oh yes, Arthur Laffer, the great economist who's worked for many presidential candidates and presidents, including Donald Trump and Ronald Reagan and John F. Kennedy and Calvin Coolidge and all of them. So thanks so much for joining, gentlemen. Let's get right down to it.
You left out George Washington.
Did you work for George Washington?
But not George Bush. Just do not say George Bush.
So we're having fun with you today, folks. And I'm going to start with, some of the big news this week was consumer confidence fell to a low level. And there was a lot of confidence when Trump took office, but it seems to have hit a little downspin here. I'll start with you, Arthur. Is that something to be concerned about?
I don't know if it is or not really, but
Yeah.
I love the phrase econ icon. Actually, econ icon.
I'm going to have to.
I can't econ icon. Can you? Econ icon?
Toy boat? Okay.
We're having some fun here.
We're trying
I
to-
don't know about confidence here, but
Yeah.
Things are turmoils in the markets.
Yeah.
When you get markets
Yeah.
up and down, you get people feeling ways.
Is it the tariffs?
I have no idea.
Yeah, okay.
I think he's got the line up there. If you look at the five kingdoms, I think he's in really good shape on tax bills.
Yes.
I mean, it's obviously we need to
gonna
get
happen.
passed now and
Yes.
soon and all
Yes.
that. I think he's great on Doge and
Yeah.
cutting spending. I mean,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
really terrific.
Fantastic.
I think sound money. I think he's going to try to go and get someone to replace Powell, who will be really
Could that
good.
be you?
Nope.
Could that be Larry Kudlow?
That could be.
Could
Larry
that be
Kudlow.
Steve Forbes?
It could be Steve Forbes. The only one I know it couldn't be is me.
And me.
It could be Kevin Warsh. There are a lot of
good people. Our friend Judy Shelton, we love
Judy Shelton, she's
Yeah.
great.
Uh-huh.
Bob Modell, we could use a Ouija board and get him back. And then I think regulatory policy is doing really well
Yes.
under this administration. I think we're going to be energy.
So you're bullish.
Oh, I'm quite bullish. And then I look at trade, and I'm not worried about trade like you guys
Right.
are.
Yeah.
Not that I'm not afraid of bad trade policy.
Right.
I don't think it will happen.
Right.
Is why I'm not afraid. And
Okay.
that's where I am. So I'm looking. Things look good.
Steve?
Things should be looking good, and when this thing shakes out, hopefully it will be good. Key thing is, how do these whole tariff things play out?
Resolve.
Do they end up being a tax cut rather than a big tax increase?
Right.
What does it do to supply chains? That could gum those things up. We're already starting to see some impact there. So on the tax bill, the president's got to focus on getting a good bill through, and fast. They talk about Memorial Day. That's almost too late. He should say, have it next Monday.
Yeah, so this is one of our...
And then maybe we'll get it a timely bill.
I couldn't agree more, and this is one of our top priorities, as you guys know, as co-founders of Unleash Prosperity with the great Larry Kudlow, that we want to get this tax cut done as quickly as possible. Something, Arthur, you've talked a lot about over recent months was a mistake that Ronald Reagan made. He didn't make many mistakes, but with respect to the tax
He
bill.
phased the tax cuts,
Right.
and very frankly, I mean,
Why did they do that?
Because they thought it would be good for getting the thing through the House. In fact, what Reagan told me on a phone call right after
Yes.
it passed was, you academics are all alike.
Yeah.
How you don't understand politics. No one can vote for a big tax
Yeah.
cut and get a big deficit the first time. You got to worry
Yeah.
about the budget and all that. And I asked him, I just said, excuse me, sir, I understand your situation and all that, but can I ask you a question? Fire away. I said, how much would you shop at a store a week before that store has its big discount sale? And he says, oh my God, how bad is it going to be? And I said, sir, it's going to be a barn burner.
Because I want to make sure our listeners and viewers understand. They did like 5% the first year, and then what was it again?
It was a 23% cut, really.
Yeah, right.
But 25% cut.
Yeah.
We had 1 quarter of 5%.
Right.
So that was 1.25% for 1981.
Yeah, that's not a lot.
No.
Yeah.
And then 1981 it was 1.25%, then it was 10%
Right.
for 82. It
Yeah.
was the 5% of 81
Right.
and half of the 10% for 82. So it was 10% across. And
Uh-huh.
on January 1st, 1983, the tax cut was 20%. You got the full 10, the full 5, and half the last 10.
Right.
And that was the 20, and that's when the economy took
Yeah,
off.
right at the beginning of '83 was the
The
big
day,
boom.
no,
Right.
not the beginning. The first second.
Wow.
As soon as you could account that thing for January 1st,
Wow.
you won.
At Capella University, you can learn at your own pace with our FlexPath learning format. Take 1 or 2 courses at a time and complete as many as you can in a 12-week billing session. With FlexPath, you can even finish the bachelor's degree you started in 22 months for $20,000. A different future is closer than you think with Capella University. Learn more at capella.edu. Fastest 25% of students. Cost varies by pace, transfer credits, and other factors. Fees apply.
Did you know that parents rank financial literacy as the #1 most difficult life skill to teach? Meet Greenlight, the debit card and money app for families. With Greenlight, you can send money to kids quickly, set up chores, automate allowance, and keep an eye on your kids' spending with real-time notifications. Kids learn to earn, save, and spend wisely, and parents can rest easy knowing their kids are learning about money with guardrails in place. Try Greenlight risk-free today at greenlight.com/Spotify.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment. Anyway, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
Steve, is that the way the world works, where people wait for that tax cut so they can really make more money? Is that how it works?
Taxes have consequences.
There's a great book called "Taxes Have Consequences."
Just a coincidence.
So we don't want to repeat that mistake. We want to get it done quickly.
And the other thing though was we had a very tight monetary policy.
Yes, right.
And
Well, tight monetary policy. Let me ask you, this is something where maybe I'm disagreeing with you guys or not. If you told me...
don't disagree with God.
With econ icons, we don't do that.
If you told me that there would be no inflation for the next 10 years, okay, it's just done. There's no inflation for the next 10 years. Would the market go up or down? Would output go up or down?
Up.
Thank you. Why would putting Volcker in, who was going to get inflation down, cause the market to drop?
Well, because he just deflated.
No, there's no. You're doing.
No?
I think you're doing magical stuff.
Okay.
He brought inflation down.
Yeah.
That was not what caused the crash in '81, '82. It was the delay of the tax cut. And if we hadn't had the delay, you'd have seen a takeoff of unbelievable proportions.
So let me ask you, Steve.
So
Forbes,
the bottom line is we need a big, beautiful tax cut bill that takes effect not now, but last January 20th.
Yes, that's a really
you
important.
can't retroactively change your output. You can't do that either.
No, except if the companies anticipate the tax cut, they'll change their behavior now, won't they?
No.
No?
Anyway, sooner is better.
You need to reward. You need reward.
Okay. You're nitpicking. You're a nitpicker. Okay. So let's go back to the. Let's go back to the monetary policy. I don't want to put. What's your old joke? You talk about monetary policy, and everybody scrambles away as quickly as they can. But but it is important, and I think a lot of our listeners and viewers are. What would if Steve Forbes were Fed chairman today? You wrote a piece about what's happened with the gold price. You're concerned about that. I am too.
I am too.
What would you be doing right now at the Fed to stabilize the economy and grow the economy?
Announce no more policy of depressing the economy to suppress inflation.
So they believe
stable value of the dollar.
They believe at the Fed that growth causes inflation.
They believe exactly.
That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Prosperity causes inflation.
Why?
And then because they have the idea if people are doing well, prices will go up, and that's inflation.
Oh my God!
It's not. It's a market at work.
Would you go right now? No. Let me ask you a serious question, because this is what I believe. I don't know the answer. Would you stabilize the gold price now if you were the Fed?
Yes.
How would you do it?
You would make the announcement that you're going to put it in a range so people don't get too
I get it. But how would you do it? Can they go out and buy gold?
Of course they can. They can look at the price and buy and sell bonds to try to keep the price in a certain range.
You do it the old British way. When the price of gold's rising, you sell bonds in the market, take money out of circulation.
What's wrong with that?
And no, that's the way Volcker did it.
So what's the consequence of that?
Consequences.
Stable prices.
Stable prices.
Right.
Guess what?
Right.
People know that they're not going to be bushwhacked by the Federal Reserve in the future. Takes that huge uncertainty out of the way. People talk about uncertainty about tariffs. The Fed is a constant source of uncertainty. What are they going to do, not do? And as a result, you look when we went off the gold standard, look at the amount of investment we had, not on the scale we had traditionally, because you don't know what's going to happen in the future. Yeah, the dollar is simply a means of doing transactions with each other.
But I still want to push you a little bit on specifically. Let's imagine you're not running in New York, you ran the Fed and everything like that. You got gold sitting there at a price. Tell me how you would instruct the New York Open Market Committee to. What is the rule? Would you do it like Volcker?
You would say the gold's between, say, $2,900 and $3,100 an ounce. If it goes below 29, we take the monetary base down.
And increase the money. No.
And 3,100, you do the opposite. Yeah. So you try to keep within a range. And sometimes you may not have to do anything.
But when it hits 31, you'll take money out of circulation. You'll let
the markets know that the dollar's getting
bonds, you take base out of the system, and then at 2,900 you add base to the system
to get it back.
Now, would you do it at today's price, for example?
Well, I'm not going to worry about the exact price. The key thing is
point doesn't matter that much, right?
The key thing
it does, but his point is, in addition to what he's saying, really, what you're saying, it really matters.
Here in America, work is in trouble. We've offshored our manufacturing, sent away good jobs, and lost so much ability to make things. American Giant is a company that's pushing back against this tide. They make high-quality clothing, sweatshirts, jeans, dresses, jackets, and so much more, right here in the USA. Visit American-Giant.com and get 20% off your first order when you use code STAPLE20 at checkout. That's 20% off your first order at American-Giant.com, promo code STAPLE20.